Let's bring you some breaking news just into us from Australia now. The state broadcaster ABC News have been reporting that the incumbent Labor Party have certainly won power in a nationwide federal election. This means that the incumbent Labor Party with the Prime Minister Anthony Albanese will be staying in power. That news just into us from ABC, the Australian state broadcaster, projecting that the incumbent Labor Party have certainly won power in today's elections. Let's go to my colleague Steve Lai, who's following all the developments from Sydney. Steve, what more do we know?
Yeah, this news coming in a lot sooner than we were expecting. ABC, the local news network here that typically calls elections, are the ones that have announced this just a short while ago. And Anthony Green, the voice of Australian elections for the last 30 years, this is his last election where he's calling the results. And he has come out to say that he projects that Labor and Anthony Albanese will be returning to government. Now, we can get some immediate reaction right here in Sydney with my guest, Dr. Peter Chen from the University of Sydney. Peter, great to have you on at this and for being ready to go. It's quite a surprise. This all took us by surprise. We knew in previous elections, 9 o'clock, between 9 and 10, they had been called, but this came even before 8:30.
Yes, and it's quite a surprise because there had been a lot of speculation that it might have been a close-run thing, with commentators speculating that Labor was likely to form government again, but possibly a minority government, and would need to get the support of the crossbenchers. So the rapidity to which this has been called, and news.com.au, part of the Murdoch stable, we're calling it just after 8:15, which is only about 15 minutes after the polls are closed in Western Australia. So I had to put my beer down, which is something Australians don't often do.
Yeah, so thanks very much for making it back here. We were speaking to you earlier as well about some of the issues surrounding this election. But just to come back to what this result has come to us so quickly, Anthony Green, who's been calling elections here in Australia for 30 years, not one he's going to want to have gotten wrong, seeing as it's his last.
No, that's right. And going into the election, we saw that for the ALP, they had about 7 seats where the margin that they held them by was 3% or less, and the coalition came in with about 12. So based on the polling close to the election day, it did look like the ALP were going to hold those seats and possibly grab a few more, and the election was really the coalition's to lose. And certainly we've seen that it's likely that the ALP is picking up a couple of Greens-held seats in Queensland. The coalition are losing seats. The independents, and particularly the Teal-type independents, seem to be doing well. And even though the LNP had lost votes out to the right wing, to One Nation and the Trumpet for Patriots, those preferences will come back to them. But even with those preferences, it looks like they haven't managed to sneak back into government. And that would have been a continuity of a government that they would previously been in before the election of the Labor Party for about 9 years. Yeah. So it's going to be a big disappointment for Peter Dutton, who also it looks like possibly might lose his own seat. And obviously your viewers will be reminded of the outcome in the Canadian election, where the centre-left party, the Liberals, came back into power, and their key opponent, who was on track to win that election only a few months prior, lost his own seat in that process too.
Yes, and we'll get into a bit about what caused that and what perhaps had an influence here as well in Australia. We're just looking at some live images here. We're just showing our viewers view from the headquarters of the Labor Party, Anthony Albanese's party. They'll certainly be in good cheer for this outcome and for it to come so quickly.
Yes.
What do you think they will put down as what got them over the line, or what really spurred them on to win this election?
Yes, well, they're likely to say it was their kind of positive agenda that was focused on things about cost of living and housing. But I think deep down in their heart of hearts, they have to recognise that we did have a somewhat lacklustre election. Only a few months ago, it seemed certain that Anthony Albanese was going to lose the election and that Peter Dutton was going to win. But Peter Dutton's negatives, I think, have really counted against him. And Labor has to recognise that they had an opponent who, on some levels, was very politically canny, very sophisticated in some areas, but had a lot of negatives. And the big one, of course, was with younger people and with women.